Auschwitz was not born from chaos. It did not emerge from sudden rage or isolated cruelty. It was conceived, planned, financed, and operated as a system, a machine, a place where death was not accidental but scheduled, where murder followed procedures, budgets, reports, and hierarchies. What happened there was not a breakdown of civilization, but the cold application of it in service of ideology. In April 1940, when SS Captain Rudolf Höss arrived in the small Polish town of Auschwitz, later renamed Auschwitz, nothing yet hinted at the scale of what would come. The site consisted of old, crumbling Polish army barracks. Höss himself appeared unremarkable, thin, quiet, methodical. He looked like a clerk, a man you would not remember passing on the street. That ordinariness would later become one of the most disturbing aspects of his legacy. Höss had already been trained in cruelty. Before Auschwitz, he had served at Dachau, the model concentration camp. Dachau was not only a place of violence, but a laboratory for psychological domination. There, the SS perfected systems that broke people without needing constant force. Prisoners never knew how long their sentence was. Uncertainty became torture. The capo system was introduced, placing inmates in charge of other inmates, ensuring cruelty reproduced itself. Violence became decentralized, efficient, self-sustaining. Höss brought these lessons with him. From the beginning, Auschwitz was run not as a chaotic prison, but as an organized institution. Roll calls were precise, punishments were standardized, records were meticulously kept. Even death had paperwork. Originally, Auschwitz was intended to hold Polish political prisoners, but it quickly became clear that mortality rates were far higher than expected. Beatings, starvation, disease, and executions were constant. Death was no longer a failure of the system, it was proof that it worked. Everything changed in 1941. After the German invasion of the Soviet Union, Nazi policy towards Jews escalated. What had once been persecution, expulsion, and forced labor transformed into systematic extermination. The decision was made at the highest levels. All Jews under German control were to be killed, not eventually, not selectively, completely. This became known as the final solution. The problem facing the SS was not moral, it was logistical. Mass shootings were effective, but psychologically damaging to the men ordered to carry them out. Alcohol consumption skyrocketed, mental breakdowns increased, commanders complained. The leadership needed a method that distanced the killers from the killing. Auschwitz provided the answer. Zyklon B was originally a pesticide used to kill insects and rats. It was efficient, cheap, and widely available. Someone proposed using it on humans. Tests were conducted. The results were considered successful. With that decision, Auschwitz transformed from a concentration camp into the core of an extermination complex. The site expanded rapidly. Auschwitz I served as administration. Auschwitz II, Birkenau, was built as a purpose-designed killing center. Auschwitz III, Monowitz, fed prisoners directly into German industry through forced labor. Everything was integrated, nothing was wasted. Birkenau was designed like an industrial facility. Its layout allowed trains to roll directly into the camp. Ramps were built for unloading human cargo. Gas chambers were disguised as shower rooms to maintain order. Crematoria were engineered to operate continuously. The victims were deceived until the final moments. They were told they were being resettled. They were instructed to bring valuables, clothing, even cooking utensils. Entire families complied, believing cooperation meant survival. They were packed into cattle cars, 80, sometimes 100 people per car. No toilets, no ventilation. Journeys lasted days. Many died before arrival. When the doors opened at Birkenau, what greeted them was not chaos, but efficiency. SS guards shouted orders, dogs barked, floodlights cut through the night. And then came the selections. Doctors stood on the ramp. A glance, a gesture of the hand. Left or right, life or death. The elderly, children, mothers with infants, the sick, immediately condemned. The rest were temporarily spared, sent to labor until exhaustion killed them. 70. What distinguished Auschwitz even further was how deeply it was embedded in Nazi administrative logic. This was not chaos, it was governance. Every action inside the camp followed written orders, stamped approvals, and hierarchical reporting. The extermination process was discussed in meetings, evaluated in memos, and optimized over time. Killing was treated as a logistical challenge, not a moral one. The SS command structure at Auschwitz mirrored that of a modern corporation. Departments handled labor allocation, security, medical oversight, transport coordination, and asset recovery. Each unit had performance expectations. Failures were reprimanded. Success meant promotion or reassignment to larger operations. The language used internally was deliberately abstract. Victims were units, transports were deliveries, gas chambers were disinfection facilities. This linguistic distancing allowed participants to function without confronting the reality of their actions. Words were weapons as effective as Zyklon B. Financial records revealed the camp's profitability. Confiscated property flowed into the Reich's economy. Jewelry, currency, clothing, even children's toys were sorted and shipped. The SS maintained warehouses cataloging these goods. Auschwitz did not merely kill, it looted. Local civilian populations were not ignorant. Smoke, ash, and smell drifted constantly. Trains arrived day and night. Workers interacted with prisoners. Knowledge existed, but silence prevailed. Fear, opportunism, and normalization erased resistance. Within the prisoner population, social hierarchies formed. Political prisoners, criminals, Jews, Roma, and Soviet POWs were treated differently. The capo system exploited these divisions, ensuring prisoners policed one another. Survival often depended on status, chance, or skills deemed useful. Starvation was calculated. Rations were designed to weaken without immediately killing, maximizing labor output. Weight loss was tracked. Once productivity dropped, selections followed. Hunger was both weapon and filter. Children endured unique torment. Many arrived alone after parents were murdered on the ramp. Some were exploited for labor. Others were reserved for experiments. Childhood ceased instantly. Survivors later described losing the concept of play, safety, and future. The crematoria represented engineering at its most perverse. Ventilation systems, corpse elevators, and furnace arrays were engineered for throughput. Blueprints survive. These were not improvised structures. They were planned, approved, and funded. When Allied forces advanced, the SS attempted to erase evidence. Prisoners were forced on death marches in freezing conditions. Thousands died along the roads. Those who survived carried the memory forward. Liberation did not mean freedom. Survivors faced disease, displacement, and rejection. Many had no homes to return to. Families were gone. Nations were hostile. Trauma followed them for life. Justice after the war was fragmented. Some perpetrators were tried. Many reintegrated quietly into society. Doctors resumed careers. Engineers found new projects. The world moved forward unevenly. Denial emerged quickly. Revisionism questioned numbers, intent, and responsibility. Survivors were forced to defend their own suffering. Memory itself became a battleground. Education about Auschwitz became essential yet imperfect. Museums preserve artifacts but cannot replicate terror. Testimony fills gaps, but time erodes witnesses. The danger lies not in forgetting facts, but forgetting meaning. Auschwitz proves that modernity does not prevent barbarism, it enables it. Technology, organization, and discipline can serve destruction as easily as progress. The camp stands as a warning not about monsters, but about people who accepted roles, followed procedures, and surrendered conscience. It shows how quickly cruelty becomes routine when authority legitimizes it, and how easily humanity is stripped away when ideology defines who deserves to live. The true legacy of Auschwitz is not only death, but the question it leaves unanswered. How many systems today still value efficiency over ethics? Because Auschwitz did not begin with gas chambers, it began with paperwork.